the third leg of intermediation, obviously, is very important, is fund management. And Stéphane, the same question, fund management is not just a European industry, it's a global industry. And how there is this matching between all this new regulation and the global competitiveness of the fund management in Europe.
Thank you, Edouard, and thank you also for Mazar for sponsoring and inviting me at this panel session. Just as a reminder, AFG is a French asset management association. In France, you have more than 600 asset managers based in France. Out of them, 400 of them are our members, managing either UCITS or non-UCITS funds or mandates. In terms of comparison, basically 20% of assets under management under the form of collective investment schemes in Europe are managed from Paris, basically in equal terms with London and Germany. So it shows that obviously Paris is a significant leading center for fund management, and it implies that the European and worldwide dimension is very important for our members. Just two short points before answering the question of competitiveness of our industry. First point, on this panel session, it was expected to have a representative of the European Commission, and it's too bad that the European Commission declined to come. Because even if it's good for us, because we have a bit more time, each of us, the bad point is that we are speaking about the agenda of the next Commission. And sincerely, I think it's very bad, because for your knowledge as well, there is currently a public consultation on the Europe 2020 agenda issued by the European Commission. And by the way, you have until the 31st of October to answer that public consultation. And among the topics in that current public consultation from the European Commission, among the policy fields involved is competitiveness of the European framework. So it was the first point I wish to make. It is officially on the agenda, even if no one is able on the stage to express the European Commission's view. Second point, and it's not because there is an Italian invited person on the stage, but I think that the Italian presidency will be crucial for this coming term of 5 years. Because obviously 2020 will be the end of the existing new term, which will end at the end of 2019. And when you look at all the member state presidencies during the next 5 years, in a way it's a bit scary. Because Italy is a single, if I may say so, big member state, which will chair the Union, by the way, and which is also, for long, a very pro-EU member state. And so, for the rest, it will be either really smaller states or less pro-European member states. So I think that the next 6 months will be really crucial to build, from now, the delivery as far as possible of the whole 5-year agenda ahead of us. Especially also because in the European Parliament, by the way, from the left-wing side, Italy is now the first, to my knowledge, the first leading socialist party, so it will also reinforce in a way the weight of Italy in the European Parliament, especially facing Germany. So now coming back to the EU competitiveness vis-à-vis the rest of the world. Why I think and why AFG thinks it's important. By the way, we have, as the Fédération Bancaire Française, set up our own roadmap for the next 5 years. And basically, we share the same core point, which is that now we have, we think, restored trust to a very large extent, and we have now to shift to a more pro-competitive agenda for the EU industry, or at least for the asset management and fund industry. Not only the French one, but more largely the European one. Why? Because, number one, when you look at facts, basically the US fund industry represents 45% of the worldwide industry, fund industry. Europe is about 35%. It depends on the currency rate between the dollar and the EU, and the euro, but it's more or less the relevant figures. And when you look at the top 20 asset managers in the world, basically 10 are US managers and 10 are EU managers. And obviously, in addition, it's not only an US-EU issue, but also a growing, I would say, emerging countries issues, because we are seeing a significant number of new managers coming from Brazil, from China, from Australia, which will also compete with the EU managers. So starting from facts, we think that guaranteeing a significant EU competitiveness, at least for our industry, is crucial for the next 5 years. It's also true for the UCITS product, because as you may know, UCITS is currently probably the best known worldwide fund product exported in, I would say, around the world. And we have also to keep that, I would say, advantage, product advantage. In terms of competitiveness, it's a twofold approach. Number one, we wish to get a political agenda and technical agenda which will reinforce our ability to export more out of Europe. But also, you have to be aware that the competition will increase within the EU during the next 5 years, because at least of two directives. Number one, AIFM directive, because from next year, potentially, but I think that politically speaking it will be done, but from next year, there will be the possibility for third country managers and third country funds to benefit from the EU passport, competing directly with EU players and EU products. So EU managers will have to be in a good shape to be able to compete with non-EU players, even in Europe. And the second directive which is involved is MiFID, and it's not only concerning fund managers, by the way, but a wider range of players. No one, or almost no one, is speaking about one new element and crucial element of the new MiFID, MiFID 2. It's the third country passport. There was no third country passport in the previous MiFID, MiFID 1. It's a really big and new issue, which was not tackled so much by so many players. We were very active in trying to limit the effects, not the existence, but the effects of that third country passport. But anyway, it will be possible for third country players to provide for financial services, at least towards professional investors, but actively located in the EU. So because of AIFMD and MiFID, we will have to be competitive even in Europe. And in addition, we wish to export more and more out of Europe. So in terms of regulatory agenda, I think that the European Commission has done some very good initiatives, has taken very good initiatives, like the European Long-Term Investment Fund, LTIF, which was clearly a way to build a pan-European product which could, I would say, be complementary to UCITS or AIFs to offer a long-term investment product. So from that side, I think the Commission was good in this initiative. But on the negative side, I would say, I will not repeat that because it was mentioned already. Clearly, the European financial transaction tax is a pain in the neck, I would say, for EU players competing with non-EU players, clearly. And more specifically, in our area, we have a significant series of concerns. Number one, about the keyword of shadow banking. So because of that keyword, the European Commission started with money market funds, which may impact not only the CNAV money market funds, but also the VNAV money market funds, so basically the whole industry in Europe. And I think that shadow banking will not capture at the end of the day not only money market funds, but it may derive to the rest of investment funds, like bond funds, and potentially any type of fund with some restrictions. We see also that currently the Commission is preparing a sort of UCITS 6 initiative through which they may restrict the possibility to manage securitized products within investment funds. So it might be another constraint that we may have to face in the coming years. And last but not least, even if it's not targeting us, we are often caught by other pieces of legislation. Regarding securities financing transactions, there might be some requirements of reporting, including for fund managers, which are already to cope with AIFM reporting and also UCITS reporting. So it will be another new layer of cost, in fact, for asset managers. And even about the initiative on the so-called structural banking reform, it may impact our industry because it may constraint the possibility for banks to invest in investment funds, especially alternative investment funds, but defined very broadly. So for all this series of current initiatives, but they will deliver their outcome during the next 5 years, we are a bit, well, more than a bit, we are really concerned about that series of initiatives. So at least we would like the Commission to take into account, at least for the moment, and for the next 5 years, the competitiveness of our industry in their new initiatives, if they wish to launch that. Last point, I mainly mentioned regulation. The issue of the EU agenda is not only on regulation, it's also on trade. AFG is involved in the trade negotiations through the so-called TTIP, US-EU trade negotiation. We have had many discussions with the European Commission of DG trade and not DG internal market on that side. It's the other face of the coin. One face of the coin is on regulation, the other one is on trade. Obviously, we think that if more and more EU regulations are opening the EU market to third country players, the reverse should be true. And we think that trade negotiations, from that perspective, are crucial. We are asking to introduce, in the scope of TTIP, the area of financial services. Until now, the EU authorities, not the EU, the US authorities, until now the US authorities have refused this inclusion. We think it's crucial, and we are doing the same with the TISA negotiation, which is involving a series of more than 10 third countries. And we think in both cases that including at least asset management in the trade negotiations are crucial to be even more competitive.